It's been a while. Hello. There was a topic that I saw one night scrolling in bed, and I was just so blown away by the concept and the idea of this news, and I just knew instantly that I wanted to stream about it. We can watch this video together.
Known as Long Island, the project envisions 3 plots of elevated land off the southeastern coast of Singapore. Some 800 hectares will be reclaimed. That's about twice the size of Marina Bay today.
This popular stretch of the coast from Marina East all the way to Changi could look very different in the coming decades. A potential plan is to extend the land out to sea to create a long island equipped with barrages and a reservoir to manage floods. Beyond that, within the reclamation band, homes well connected to the city could be built on the coast. All this surrounded by a coastal park. This is one way the city is looking to be more climate resilient and to optimize its limited land space.
I love the idea of Long Island so much. It has so many of the hallmarks that are classically Singaporean. First off, it's like a massive geoengineering project, terraforming project, whatever you want to call it. But they're changing the sort of look of the landscape. As with all other Singaporean projects, it's got like a very internationally focused name. Somewhere in some government meeting, someone was like, what should we name this chunk of land? And they were like, Long Island. And everyone was like, fuck it, great idea. I would have loved to have been in that meeting. But yeah, it's crazy because right now, this stretch here is beach. Right behind them. The other parallel that I was thinking of when I first heard about this was the Palm Island in Dubai. And I think, similar idea, similar scale. They've talked about how this is going to be like a 40-year, planned process. They've got to do studies. They're going to do it. Any conservationist friends or, nature-loving friends around here who want the beach to be preserved in its current state, knowing Singaporean politics, this is like 1000% happening. This happened like the second it was announced. My question is, where are you gonna get the damn sand from? So Singapore has mostly been made out of reclaimed land. If you look at this photo shows, I believe, all the reclaimed land in Singapore. And the white one is the original. The light pink one, I believe, is like phase 1 or something like that. And then the darker pink one is phase 2. And so we've expanded like a ginormous amount in size over the past few years. We've combined islands together. So for example, this Jurong Island was like 2 or 3 separate islands that have been brought together. I think Sisters Island and Lazarus Island is somewhere down here, and that's all reclaimed. Pulau Tekong is also like massively reclaimed. So there's been a lot of land reclamation. A lot of this has been supposedly, allegedly, built using sand that comes from neighboring countries. And that's been a point of contention because countries have quickly realized that it's a really bad, well, it's not bad, I would say, but it's the process of gathering sand is environmentally damaging. And it can also be like politically sensitive. You're taking soil and land from one country and using it to build another country, and so it's not being used for your own country. There are lots of countries that have since decided not to officially export sand to Singapore. In 2019, Malaysia banned sea sand exports to the country. In 2017, Cambodia also banned sand exports to Singapore. And then Vietnam also banned sand exports. And Indonesia supposedly also banned sand exports. And so I was sitting here and I was wondering, how is Singapore going to get enough sand to do this? But then I was looking at it online and I realized that something's changed. In May this year, Indonesia lifted its ban on sea sand exports. It's been around for 20 years, and I assume that previously quite a lot of the sand was coming to Singapore, and I guess they stopped that and now it might be coming back again. I think reclamation also in the 21st century is becoming more of a political issue. Countries use it as a means to expand, as a means to assert claims over certain things in the ocean. Look at the Spratly Islands in the South China Sea, for example, where China has been, I believe, reclaiming islands in order to be able to assert its dominance there and its claim on that section of the ocean. I have no doubt that it's going to help these things on coastal protection, water resilience, and land.
Whilst it may seem quite distant from today, we have to start planning and preparing now.
Side note, Desmond and I, should I call him Desmond? Minister Desmond? Minister Desmond and I sat down for coffee once or twice. So I like to think that we're friends. So my friend, Minister Desmond, has been planning and looking into this.
The new land will change the area we now know as East Coast Park. There will be a new freshwater reservoir, new homes, and new spaces for recreational activities in a few decades' time.
Can I just say that I love this visual? Like, I think it demonstrates sort of how radically this space is about to change, and it's gonna happen over the span of my lifetime. And being able to see it is such an incredible feat of just engineering. I'm just amazed by the extent and scale to which we as a species are able to change our living environment and habitat to put housing, fresh water in an area that was previously ocean. That's crazy to me.
Innovative designs that use engineering and nature-based solutions for the land will also be looked at.
Nowadays, everyone will slap nature-based solutions on anything, and that instantly makes it sustainable. And like, I'm not criticizing the government here, but just in general, a company would be like, we're looking into nature-based solutions. Bam, that's it. You know, they get a pass for like a lot of stuff.
And on the heels of the proposed Long Island plan, analysts say that prices of existing private residential property that's along East Coast is expected to rise.
I have some trouble like taking property agents in Singapore seriously. Anything can happen and they'll tell you that property prices are gonna go up. Because like that's what a lot of people want to hear. They also have an incentive for people to think that property prices are high. And like the thing is, I don't actually think it's good for property prices. Think about it this way, right? They're like houses that are currently on the beach that in 30 years time are number one, not gonna be on the seafront. So they're not gonna have like an ocean view. Number two, there's gonna be construction there for like, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years. I don't actually think property prices are gonna go up from this.
And for the land tract in the centre, well, analysts believe that low-rise waterfront housing or recreational activities would be more suitable given its narrow size.
I think the other tricky thing is that imagine living here. I mean, this is the problem with living on the real Long Island. If you want to like cross from like, well, there's a ferry, I guess, between Long Island and Connecticut. But like, it's super hard to cross. In this red section, you'd have to like drive all the way around the reservoir, which is super annoying. And they're not going to build a bridge, I think, over the reservoir. It's still pretty far out from the city area, so I don't know if it's a win. Plus, like, there's probably only going to be like one massive road that connects everything, and it's going to be like really congested.
And what about the loss of natural habitats and nesting sites for animals and the destruction of coral reefs? This especially when the proposed Long Island plans will close off existing shorelines and create a freshwater reservoir.
I am honestly less concerned about like loss of habitat. I mean, I've been there a couple of times. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's the most biodiverse areas in the country. You know, we've done this to the turtles before. It's not new. If you go back to like the reclamation slide, I mean, their current nesting sites were all reclaimed and assumably under construction at one point. So I think that'll be okay, to be honest. There aren't very many corals out and around the area. I could be wrong, but I think corals are more up in the Pasir Ris area and then obviously at the Sisters Island area. So I don't think there's much marine life. One of the reasons why I actually think this is a good thing. The sea space is quite uncontested. In a way that forest reserves and forest fragments are a lot more contested and protected and visible in Singapore. And to be honest, if I were a policymaker, I'd probably make the same choice. Nobody really cares about the ocean. So here you can kind of see in the background also the actual offshore use of this section of the country, which is basically just a massive parking lot for a lot of ships, and most of them are oil tankers, and you can just move that out like a little bit more. So like net, I do think that this is like a good thing. If you can figure out the sand issue, everything else will fall into place. Yeah, and I think it's crazy that like we're out here talking about building whole new barrier islands, basically, new reservoirs. Like what was salty will soon be fresh, which I think is a lot more rare in the gaming community. Put that on a sticker somewhere. It's a crazy sort of reality and world that we live in. I'm personally quite excited to see how it's going to turn out. I don't know, I was just really blown away by that, and I wanted to make a video about it.